Are you trying to decide what acrylic paint to use for your paintings? A lot of people use Golden Fluid Acrylics. That's the industry standard, but I think I might have found an alternative that's just as good for a fraction of the price. And in this video, I'm gonna paint a series of paintings with that brand. Check it out. Ooh, there it is. Lukas Liquid Acrylic Paints from Jerry's Artarama.com. How about that for you? I revealed the thumbnail mystery in the first 30 seconds of this video. You're welcome. There you have it. You can just leave this video now and go buy yourself some Lukas paints and problem solved, move on. Or you could stick around and watch me paint a few paintings with this very product. Couple things worth mentioning. I really like this style of paint dispenser. This bottle, it's really easy to squeeze. You have to like cut off that tip. You just saw me splattered all over my leg. Pretty sure that's how you do it. I don't know. But it comes with the cap attached, and that's kind of nice. Prevents the paint from drying out, and it's not as bulky as some other lids. As you can see, the price of Golden Fluid Acrylics are 3 times that of the Lukas brand. For the same size bottle, actually the golden bottle is a little bit smaller in quantity. So I figured when I was shopping around, if it's even close to the same quality, it was worth a shot. So I ordered a handful of bottles of this Lukas brand, and this is the first time I'm testing them out with this painting. This painting is just based on a doodle that I had in my daily sketchbook, and if you'd like to see more images from that, I did a sketchbook tour recently, and that video can be found on my channel. That's where it is. So anyway, right off the bat, I'm noticing that the Lukas paints are actually just a little bit thicker, more viscous than the Golden Fluid Acrylics. Not by much, but I actually have a bottle of white Golden Fluid Acrylic that I'm using to mix some of these highlight colors that you'll see here in a minute. And it is just a little bit more runny, the golden, compared to the Lukas. Some other things I noticed were that the Lukas brand is a little bit more transparent, maybe. It doesn't lay down nearly as opaque as maybe Golden, or especially the medium body acrylics that I'm used to. This is actually the first time since college that I've used fluid acrylics to creative painting. I've been on the heavy body, not the heavy body, I'm sorry, the medium body paints for, shoot, a decade now, it seems like. So this is kind of a new thing for me to try out the fluid acrylics, and I've done about 8 of these paintings, and I think I'm a convert. I really like the fluidity and the ease of mixing colors with this fluid acrylic. I don't know why it took me so long to make that conversion. I think probably just because of the price of Golden Fluid Acrylics. I didn't really know of any other, you know, reliable fluid acrylic brands, and I was kind of just set in my ways with the paint I was buying. Historically, I've bought Liquitex medium body acrylics, stuff that you can just get at Michael's or Dick Blick. And also I use Blick acrylic. It's, you know, Blick's basically their standard basic acrylic line. I used that all through college, and really the past decade I've used a lot of that in combination with Liquitex. And then recently I've been trying out the Winsor Newton medium body acrylics, which I deplore. I really don't like the Winsor Newton medium body acrylics at all. They're super gummy. I don't like the smell of them. That doesn't really matter, but they just smell really weird. It's not going to determine what paint I use necessarily, but yeah, I don't know. I just didn't really like them, and actually that paint was what urged me to try to switch up my brands and try the fluid acrylics. So I guess I'm grateful to Winsor Newton for making a shitty product that I don't like, because it led me to this wonderful brand of Lukas paints. Lukas, I think, is a German brand. it seems. And as you can see, or maybe you can't tell, I'll just point it out anyway, that a lot of the strokes I'm putting down are pretty fluid, albeit they are transparent more than I'm used to, but definitely more fluid. Makes sense. Fluid paints, right? Maybe that's a dumb observation, but I'm here to confirm for you that they are in fact more fluid. So if you're used to a medium body acrylic and you want your paintings to be a little smoother, maybe try out your fluid acrylics here. That being said, because they're so fluid, they seem to get pushed around a little bit easier, which may have something to do with the transparency issue that I was talking about, which isn't really an issue. It actually could be a perk if you're somebody that likes to work with transparent layers and just putting a bunch of layers and adding dimension that way. I think there is absolutely a pro to that technique that I think will kind of develop in my style as I continue to use these paints, because I plan to do so. Spoiler alert, my general consensus with these paints is that I approve and will continue to use them until they run out. And I ordered a lot, so that's good that I like them. Anyway, I got these on Jerry's Artarama. It's a website. They have free shipping over, I think, $50 on orders, which is pretty easy to do when you're buying artist grade paints. But yeah, the price tag on these are not bad at all compared to their quality. This painting actually, there's not a lot of content, so soak these couple strokes up. You don't get to see this develop, but I'll show you the final pics at the very end of all these paintings, so stay tuned for that. I don't have a ton left to say about these paints, so I guess I'll talk a little bit about my painting process while I have you here. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Thanks for watching this far. I basically do this. I paint, make a lot of cool stuff here on this channel. I'm always painting and I'm always just doing weird shit, you know. So I also have a podcast. Check that out on my channel, the Fart Pod, Eyecough Art Podcast. And anyway, my style with these paintings is kind of loose. It's very sketchy to begin with. As you can see, I'm just doing some bold marks. I'm not doing any sort of transfer method. I drew it before, just out of my head, so I should be able to draw it again in paint. And, you know, we welcome the incidental, unique nature and organic quality of that transfer from sketch to painting. I'm using a variety of brushes. I use a lot of flat brushes. I use a lot of round brushes. Very rarely will I use a filbert brush. A lot of the brushes I use for fine detail are the round brushes, and then I kind of block out big shapes with the flat brushes. Although I'm doing it now with a round brush. Anyway, you'll notice that I do a lot of wet on wet with the backgrounds. I'll apply wet paint to wet paint in a lot of areas, and then some other times I'll do wet on dry. Rarely will I do dry brushing. Usually I like the wet, smooth application. Sometimes I do kind of just like a mix of both. I do some on-canvas mixing, which gives it that kind of like oil painting aesthetic that you might be able to detect here in the later phases. And in general, I work dark to light. But in this particular painting, I did a lot of the reverse. I did a lot of light to dark. But even still, as I'm roughing out the shapes, I'm putting down kind of a medium tone. And then I am building the form with adding light, additive painting. See, I'm adding those highlights now, kind of building the form based on that, kind of going back and forth with shadows and highlights. So anyway, that's all I got to say for now. And that leads us to our final shots. Let me know in the comments which of these 4 paintings is your favorite. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you consider subscribing. Much more art to come. Peace.